So it was storming quite a bit. Jesus. It was storming quite a bit the last 2 days, so we are late. But welcome to another full moon with Nomad, where we kind of just sit, talk about what we learned in the last cycle, and put our intentions for the new one. Obviously, like I said, we are late right now, but that's okay. Better late than never. So it's better than most, you know? Last cycle, I don't even think just last cycle. I think in general, I've been thinking a lot about perspective. You know, we talk about perspective all the time, like, oh, it's just a difference in opinion, it's a difference of perspective. You see it that way, I see it this way, civil disagreements. And I think oftentimes we don't really go beyond that, probably for our own sanity, realistically, but who knows? Only God knows. But I was thinking about perspective, especially like here on the drive over here. It's amazing out right now. I always find the days after rain, the sun is just so much brighter, and I'm not sure if that's just my mind playing tricks on me or if there's actual, scientific merit to that. There probably isn't. The sun doesn't just like get brighter, but it's probably because it was so dark and gloomy and you don't see the sun for a while and you learn to appreciate the sun. It reminds me of rose bushes, because you either think, oh, what a shame that rose bushes have thorns, or you think, what a blessing that thorn bushes have roses. I said that like it was so profound, No, but I'm thinking about that, just the perspective of that one little flip, that one little switch that can happen within all of our lives, all of our minds, and how amazing that is. Because if you think about it, what's really the difference between someone that thinks rose bushes so sad that it has thorns and thorn bushes so beautiful that it has roses? What is the difference between that line of logic? You're both not inherently wrong. Both of these are true statements. So I started to think to myself, where do I reside on this aisle? Which side am I on? Which side do I choose to be on? Because had you asked me growing up, when I was very nihilistic, very woe is me, all is lost, very Nietzsche, God is dead and we killed him. When I was a kid, I'd tell you rose bushes have thorns. Now that I'm older, and as I actively choose to communicate and actively choose to seek the positive in all things, I think that I would tell you that thorn bushes have roses. And I'm not sure when that switch happened. I don't know if the switch happened due to emotional depth or the growth of my emotional depth. I don't know if that changed because I spent majority of my life being very misunderstood by other people, friends, colleagues, loved ones. I'm not entirely sure. What I do know is that I still do get misunderstood quite a bit. I'm not a person that deals with subtext outside of writing. Subtext in my writing is really, really good. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but it's pretty damn good. But I don't speak to people with any form of subtext. I say exactly what I think, exactly what I mean to say. And it gets taken like I'm giving subtext, which once again draws me back to perspective. Because the psychologist in me is like, well, Something happened in your life that makes you inherently believe this thing and not what I would consider reality because I'm telling you the truth, right? That's not fair. You know, it's not fair to psychoanalyze people and what they may or may not even be dealing with or thinking with. They could very well just believe that I'm lying, and that's okay. Sometimes I just listen to the birds as if they're talking to me, as if I can hear them. Sometimes I let the wind blow and just listen. I find a lot of guidance just sitting out in the world and listening to the sounds. Very much so like a return to self. You know, I used to do this all the time. I used to talk even less than I already do. And I don't talk that much. So I'm very comfortable with silence and I'm very comfortable just listening to things. And maybe that's what shaped my perspective on a lot of stuff is sometimes I'll ask a question and I'll just sit and I will get an answer. Especially when I meditate. I will 100% get an answer. Sometimes it's not an answer I even want, and that's how I know it's not coming from me. It goes against what I want, you know? Sometimes I think relationships are like rose bushes. And I don't just mean romantic partnerships. I mean relationships with friends, family, whatever. Just relationships, broad statement, umbrella terms. Sometimes I feel like they're rose bushes. Every relationship's a rose, and there has to be thorns within it. It can't just all be sunshines and rainbows all the time. It just can't. That's not how life works. That's not the balance of things. But the thing that I struggle with is winter will come. At some point, winter will come. The roses will wither and they will disappear. And sometimes you're just left with the thorns. It's not like the roses can't come back. You could water them. You could, you could change the soil. You could water them. You could do all of these things and you could bring the roses back. And obviously the entire time that that's going to happen, you're probably going to get a lot of thorns. You're probably going to get stung quite a bit. Or pricked, I should say. But what happens when the rose withers away and you don't want to do the work anymore to regain that rose? Well, the rose doesn't go back. It's done. It's gone. Arrivederci. So why is letting go so hard? Letting go might be hard for me. As ironic as it is, because I move a lot. Like, Nomad isn't just a name, y'all. Like, I move all the time. Like, I always have. And yet letting go is so difficult. And I think it's because of my perspective on things. You know, we oftentimes romanticize the stars and we forget that the darkness is needed for it to shine. Stars don't go away during the sunlight. They're still there. Maybe that's how I look at my life, for the people in my lives. It's like, hey, I might not be around forever. Well, I know I won't be around forever. I know there's going to be stints where I disappear and I need to be alone in solitude. That's just who I am. But I'm like that star. I'm still there. You can reach out and I will still come back. And that doesn't work for a lot of people. And I don't fault them for that. It's just who I am. It's who I've always been. And I find myself being really guilty. Not being guilty. I am not guilt, but I find myself feeling guilty for taking this time, taking these moments to myself to be myself. Because when I'm around other people, I don't get to be myself. I'm incapable of that, unfortunately. I very much so care about how what I do or what I say is affecting someone else and how it makes them feel and all of these things. I'm hyper aware of this, and it gives me a ton of anxiety. And I'm working on it. I've been working on it for 3 or 4 years now. My healing journey has been going on for almost 7 years. For 3 or 4 of them, I've been working on this exact thing, like how I relate to people and how I shouldn't be so concerned with appeasing everybody, because it's impossible. But I definitely try. Oh, hi, buddy. Okay, have fun. um you might only see me in the darkness. Going back to the star analogy, right? Like, if I'm this star and I am always there, but I'm only viewable in darkness, I also wind up in situations where the only time that someone will reach out is if something is going wrong. They need some kind of help. XYZ. And I'm not upset about that. It's just, it changes the parameters of our relationship. You know, I'm not gonna expect when you reach out to me that it's on some cool friend stuff. You know, there's levels to relationships. I think, at least, I believe that there's levels to relationships. Like, I don't call everybody my friend. Some people are acquaintances, some people I'm just cool with. Not everybody's my friend. Not everybody can be my friend. If you can't tell me, like, what's something that I'm super obsessed with and go out of my way to buy and build, you don't really know me as well as other people know me. Because some people will hear that and immediately have, boom, it's that. I know exactly what it is. I ran out of time. That's how you know I've been here for too long. I digress. The point is that you're a different person to everybody that you come across and that you meet. And I don't think that's a bad thing. People see you in a different light. People have different versions of you. It doesn't mean that it's not you. It doesn't mean that you're hiding yourself from these people. It's just, some people need different things out of each other. I hear people talk about Genesis and talk about the story of Adam and Eve, and they'll be at the perspective of Eve tricked Adam. And it's like, you didn't read your book, first of all, but I digress. It's your point of view. I will accept how your interpretation of it, assuming that you read it, and then just have somebody tell you about it. Sorry, that's a gripe that I have as a spiritual person, is people not reading their literature. However, how I choose to look at this story ultimately is not, I ate the apple because I trusted you. My perspective on that story is, I ate the apple because I loved you. I think it's one of the greatest love stories that we have. And I think that's really important and powerful. And I think I've carried that perspective with me throughout my life. I'll sacrifice almost anything because I love somebody. And I don't think that's a problem. I think it can be dangerous and it can be weaponized against me. But at my core, I believe that love is the soul of the world. And for love to be the soul of the world, it's inherent. Everyone deserves it. And I give it to everyone. Unconditional, because it doesn't come with conditions. So, this cycle, I want to be able to keep my perspective. Believe that thorn bushes are beautiful because they have roses. I want to get better at letting things go and accepting that things have ended, the chapters have ended, that stories are closed. I want to, in this new cycle, continue to do things out of love and allow myself to accept and be surrounded by people that accept my form of love without taking advantage of it. We can't romanticize the stars and forget about the darkness. I wish y'all a good lunar cycle. I wish y'all safety. I wish you joy and peace. It really is a beautiful day out here.